Previously in Action Comics, in the newly rebuilt Fortress of Solitude, chaos erupts as a grotesquely deformed Phantom breaks free from the Phantom Zone, unleashing destruction upon Metropolis. Superman and Supergirl spring into action, battling the monstrous threat, but its overwhelming power forces them to make a desperate choice. With the help of Jimmy Olsen, they turn to gold kryptonite, stripping the creature of its abilities and neutralizing the menace once and for all. Despite dealing with the Phantom though, a deeper mystery lingers. What is this horrific being, and what secrets does the Phantom Zone now hold? Determined to uncover the truth, Superman plunges into the treacherous depths of the zone, risking everything as he faces the terrifying unknown. Adventure and danger await. Will he emerge with answers, or will he find only doom? Let's find out as Mark Waid and Clayton Henry's Action Comics story continues. So Wade's story begins with a little bit of a flashback to Ether the Merciful, a new being we've kind of seen in a bunch of different Wade books here and there, kind of teasing for this story. And we find that he has discovered the Phantom Zone, and he is horrified as he finds hundreds, if not thousands, of intangible beings held prisoner there, the prisoners of Krypton. The being vows to release these beings from their torment and will stop at nothing until all are free. In the present day, Superman arrives in the zone and is immediately set upon by a group of raiders with stun guns. Luckily, thanks to the help of Bruce Gordon, character Wade is actually playing around with over in World's Finest right now, Superman is still able to have his powers in the zone, at least for a little while, thanks to some portable solar bracelets that he wears that allow him to maintain them for a short amount of time and give him a sort of ticking clock element to this story. Superman has to get to the bottom of his investigation before his power runs out and he becomes like everyone else in the zone. This means Clark has to be smart about when picking fights, which is why he takes out the raiders, weapons quick, and learns someone wants to take him alive. The prisoners hate Superman as he is called by them the son of our jailer. They recognize him as the son of Jor-El and the person who put them there, so they don't think he's any better than his father was. But after threatening to leave them behind all tied up for the monsters of the realm, the raiders decide to take Superman to their leader, happy to have his protection when the dangers of the zone come for them. Superman notes that lots of the creatures there aren't actually native to Krypton, and he doesn't understand how they actually got into the zone, which has also evolved over time, with huge stretches of land just suddenly appearing in what was meant to be just a void. He ponders on these things and knows that in the zone, people like Zod, Ursa, Non, and his old friend MON-EL still exist, a friend he had to put in the zone a long time ago when he was fatally poisoned in the physical world. It's been a hot minute since we actually saw MON-EL, and I really like seeing Wade bringing him back to prominence here, and I'm really interested to see how he's going to factor into the story since he's really the only friend Superman has in the Phantom Zone. So he's going to be pretty integral to the story, I have to assume, because Superman's going to want allies in the zone, especially if he's going to be fighting this new villain Ether, who seems to be quite powerful and able to take over the Phantom Zone, as we've seen him do with these characters where he's molded them together and then let them loose on Earth. It'll also be good to see just like what he's turned into in all these years in the Phantom Zone and how the zone has changed, and a good insight from someone who's actually been living in the zone. Superman's thoughts on his old friend are interrupted by a giant bloodthirsty spider, something even the Man of Steel is surprised to see in the zone. Meanwhile on Earth, Superboy and the Superman of China, Kenan Kong, play a charity baseball game against each other, using their super speed to play every position on the field, as well as having a robot umpire since, a normal human umpire can't actually catch any of their fastballs. Ever since these two got together in the backup where Superboy was kind of investigating Kenan and trying to track him down, he was partnering with Osel and Othel to find out what's going on with this Superman of China. I like that DC have kind of like buddied these two together. They play really well off each other. They have some really great banter with one another. They're like brothers, and it's great that they are being paired together more often than not. It also means we get more of Kenan, which is always a good thing for me. He's a really cool character, and I really wish they would give him a little bit more to do in stories. Their game is interrupted by the Fortress of Solitude alarm, which alerts them to a break-in, so the heroes speed off to the Arctic to investigate. Superman meanwhile tries to fight the spider, but it shrugs off all his attacks, and he uses his X-ray vision just to try and determine to see what exactly it is, and he finds out that this thing is completely alien, unlike anything he has seen before. I was waiting with bated breath to see if this monster was something we knew, and that something was obviously the Thanagarian snare beast, you know, the one that Superman was meant to fight in that Nick Cage 90s Superman movie that never got made, and that we kind of saw in that horrific CGI clusterfuck of the end of the Flash movie. I was waiting for it to be revealed that this is what that spider is, but I quite like the idea that this is like a normal looking spider, more or less, and it's just been made up of like different alien parts. So it while it looks like a spider, it's something completely else, and Superman is even taken aback by that, which is pretty cool. Superman, noting that his power is slowly draining, decides to just toss the monster away, and he does, but two more spiders show up, spitting venom into the hero's eyes and blinding him temporarily. Thanks to being blinded, Superman has to adapt his game plan and decides to take a page from Daredevil, using echolocation to sense the spiders and battle them. This, however, doesn't really help, and Superman is webbed up by the monsters. The hero knows he could just blast himself out of the webbing, but thanks to the ticking clock that Wade put on the story with the solar bracelets, he can't, since it will just use up too much of his power, and he'll end up just being weakened fighting against 3 spiders. His eyesight soon returns, and just in time to see the Valcon, the flagship of the Phantom King, arrive. Phantom King, Zardu, is one of Superman's more weirder villains, and I really like when he shows up. He's just so out of pocket. Like, you wouldn't expect Superman to be fighting someone like this who just looks like, you know, an old Hammer horror mummy with a big cape. It's just super weird, and I just really wish more writers would use him, just because he's so much different than, you know, someone Superman has to really just like punch or, you know, throw around like a battlefield or something. Zardu orders his ships to fire, blasting the spiders and Superman, allowing the prisoners that were sent to get Superman to bring him aboard. Weakened by the blast and his waning power, Superman is confronted by the Phantom King, who removes his bandages and, in a big surprise, is revealed to actually be Mon-El. Now, I knew Mon-El would obviously factor into the story since Superman was talking about him earlier, and we've seen him on covers of, you know, future issues, but I never did expect it would be in this way. This is really an interesting direction, and now it leads to so many questions like, does this mean Mon-El is a villain now? What happened to the real Zardu? I can't wait to find out, and luckily, thanks to the delay that Mark Waid's Action Comics had last week, we actually get 2 Action Comicses this week, so look out for my video on issue 1072 coming very shortly after this one. Now, the book's not over yet, as Mariko Tamaki's Supergirl story also continues, as Supergirl arrives on the satellite high court of Thanagar, where a strange robotic judge awaits her. The robot is the only occupant of the station, save for prisoner 8912, the being Kara is there to see, and who she was sent to get by her cousin. I do like that we have something explained to us now, especially after that first issue that didn't really explain us anything, because it kind of dropped us in media res and we're just kind of picking up the pieces as the story went along. Tamaki kind of rectifies it here by telling us about this prisoner and that Supergirl is on, I guess, a prison transfer mission for her cousin and probably the Justice League. The judge, however, reveals that the prisoner has been tried and convicted, and I love that Supergirl immediately questions everything. Who is this prisoner? Why are they in this prison? What are their crimes? But the judge gives her nothing, refusing to reveal anything, which is a little frustrating because, as I said before, like the first part of the story did kind of not give us anything, and the start of this story looked like it was, and now we've kind of been hit with another curveball in which nothing is getting revealed. And I get it, you got to build like that tension and that intrigue, but just little hints, just little bits here and there might have helped a little bit more to get the story really going, because it keeps feeling like just as we're building up momentum, we kind of like stumble and stop in place. We also keep being told of just like the immense gravity of the situation. You know, in this issue we're told that United Planets don't even understand what exactly is going on here, and it's, you know, massive, and the galaxy would be in ruin if something were to get out about this. And same what happened in that first issue where this was a big mission, but again, nothing's really explained. Kara begrudgingly agrees to continue the mission, and the judge reveals that she is accompanying Supergirl on this transfer. Suddenly the station alert sounds, and as the station has no security security, Supergirl says that they need to run to her ship and escape, and as they leave the courtroom, they are attacked by a spider-like alien assassin who says they'll not leave until they kill prisoner 8912. Now, it is just a coincidence, but I kind of like that both Superman stories in this book both contain some sort of variation on a spider villain. I think that's quite unique, and again, it's just a big coincidence, but I thought that was pretty cool. So the spider assassin attacks Supergirl, but the spider is faster, and thanks to Supergirl being a little weaker thanks to being away from a yellow sun, the assassin manages to get past her, grabbing the judge and kidnapping her and the access card she has to prisoner 8912's cell, disappearing into the darkened station. Now, as I said before, I don't like that we're not really giving anything like concrete or like any real meat to this story. It's all just kind of build up and intrigue. I kind of like that as well. Like, I do like a good, mystery and sort of building up and everything. And I just really hope we actually get something in the next part of this story now that there seems to be a mission for Supergirl to go on, and we've got like little tidbits here and there. So now the story can kind of crack open a little bit. Kara's new power too, which I mistakenly thought was a leftover from her connection with Power Girl and everything they had going on a couple of issues ago. It actually isn't connected to that. It's actually connected to the end of Absolute Power, and that isn't actually even used in this issue, and that felt really like a forgotten thing. Like, it was a really handy power to have, and it just kind of gets forgotten about. Like, she could have used it on that spider assassin to find out what it wants, and really that power wasn't really explained all that well anyway. Like, we weren't like given hints that she had that power from Absolute Power. Like, she wasn't given someone else's power or anything. She just kind of had it, and you would think they would put like just a line of dialogue in there. It's like, Supergirl's got like someone else's power now, and on top of her own power, so she's a little bit more souped up than usual. But we didn't get any of that, and it looks like the power's just been forgotten about, because it's kind of Chekhov's power. You've mentioned it once, you've seen it once, we've kind of got to use it again, and you can't just like wave it away. We've kind of set up what it can do. It can read people's minds and like mess with their minds and wipe their memories. So, use that. You use that in the story, but I don't know why it wasn't. I guess this is just like a wait and see game with this backup and just see what happens. Maybe it reads better in trade. Action Comics issue 1071 continues Superman's adventures into the Phantom Zone with some great action involving spiders, zone raiders, and a really awesome final page twist with the Phantom King himself. I'm glad Wade is doing something with MON-EL as well and given him some actual page time, and a pretty integral piece of the story. Mariko Tamaki's Supergirl book continues to up the intrigue and tension, but I do wish we were given some actual meat to the story and not more constant questions upon questions. It's starting to wear a little bit thin. I'm going to give this issue a 9 out of 10.